3 months had passed since the human attacks on Council territory. Admiral John Carter stood in the command center of New Geneva Station, looking at the biggest space battle display he had ever seen. Red dots filled the screen, showing the Council fleet that was approaching human space. Captain Lisa Monroe walked up beside him. Her face was pale. "Sir, final count shows 2,047 Council ships, the biggest fleet in recorded galactic history." John studied the display. The Council had brought ships from every corner of their empire, massive dreadnoughts that could destroy moons, fast attack cruisers, heavy battleships, carrier ships full of fighter craft. They had enough firepower to turn every human world into dust. "What do we have to meet them?" John asked. 212 ships, Lisa replied, including the new ones from Project Defiance. The numbers were not good. The Council outnumbered humans 10-1, but John had not planned to win through numbers. He had planned to win through being smarter. Admiral Jake Sullivan's voice came through the communication system from his command ship. "John, the Council fleet just entered the Alpha Centauri system. Counselor Zaref himself is leading them in the dreadnought Eternal Dominion." John pressed the communication button. "How big is that ship?" 5 miles long, 2 miles wide, Jake replied. "It carries enough weapons to level a continent. I count over 3,000 gun ports." Dr. Helen Brooks looked up from her computer. "Station. John, we are picking up a transmission from the Council fleet. Zaref wants to talk." "Put him on the main screen," John ordered. The display changed to show Counselor Zaref sitting on what looked like a throne made of black metal. Behind him, John could see the bridge of the massive Council ship. Hundreds of alien officers worked. "At control stations." "Human commander," Zaref said, his 3 eyes glowing with anger. "You see the power of the Council. 2,000 ships against your pitiful few hundred. Surrender now, and we will allow some of your species to live as slaves." John stepped forward so Zaref could see him clearly. "Counselor Zaref, humanity formally rejects the authority of the Galactic Council. We claim our right to exist as free beings. Your demand for tribute is denied." Zaref's mouth opened, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Then you have chosen extinction. All ships, attack formation, destroy them all." The screen went dark. In the command center, alarms began to sound. The biggest space battle in galactic history was about to begin. "All human ships, this is Admiral Carter," John announced on the fleet communication channel. "Execute Plan Shatter Point. Show these aliens what happens when they threaten our freedom." The Council fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Their ships were arranged in neat rows like soldiers marching in a parade. They expected the human ships to meet them head-on in traditional space combat. Instead, the human ships seemed to vanish. "Where did they go?" Zaref demanded on his bridge. His tactical officer checked his sensors. "Sir, they appear to have scattered in all directions. Some are moving behind asteroids. Others are using the gravity of the system's planets to hide." Zaref was confused. In 10,000 years of Council warfare, enemy fleets had always met them in open battle. This was not how space combat was supposed to work. Captain Steve Taylor commanded the UHS Retribution, one of the new ships equipped with quantum shift drives. His ship could phase in and out of normal space, making it invisible to Council sensors. "All stealth squadrons, begin attack pattern Alpha," Steve announced. "Hit them where they do not expect it." The Retribution materialized directly behind a Council battleship. Before the enemy could react, Steve's ship fired a full spread of quantum torpedoes. The battleship exploded in a ball of fire. The Retribution vanished again before the other Council ships could target it. Across the battle area, 11 other stealth ships were doing the same thing. They appeared, fired, and disappeared like ghosts. Commander Rick Hayes was leading a different kind of attack. His ships carried teams of human Marines in new quantum tunnel equipment. They could teleport directly inside enemy ships without the Council knowing they were coming. "Quantum tunnel established." his technical officer reported. Target is the Council Command Cruiser Domination. All Marines, go, Rick ordered. 50 human soldiers materialized inside the Council ship. The alien crew had never seen anything like it. Humans simply appeared in their corridors and engineering sections. The human Marines moved through the ship like a plague. Their weapons were designed to work in the close spaces inside ships. Their armor protected them from Council energy weapons. Within minutes, they had taken control of the ship's main systems. Ship secured, Sergeant Mike Johnson reported, turning their own weapons against their fleet. The captured Council ship began firing on its own allies. Other Council captains could not understand what was happening. Their own ships were attacking them. Admiral Sullivan had brought the newest weapons of all, reality distortion cannons. These devices could tear holes in space and time itself, creating gravity wells that crushed enemy ships. Target the enemy flagship, Sullivan ordered. Let us see how tough that dreadnought really is. The reality distortion cannon fired an invisible beam at the Eternal Dominion. Space around the huge ship began to twist and bend. Gravity waves crashed against the dreadnought's hull like invisible hammers. Hull breach on decks 40 through 60, Sullivan's weapons officer reported. Enemy flagship taking critical damage. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, alarms screamed as the ship was torn apart by forces that should not exist. Zaraf could not understand what was happening. His ship was being destroyed by weapons that his science said were impossible. How are they doing this? Zaraf demanded. His science officer checked his instruments with shaking hands. Sir, they are using technology we have never seen. Our shields cannot stop their weapons. Our sensors cannot track their ships. Across the battle area, the Council fleet was being systematically destroyed. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years were being torn apart by human weapons and tactics they could not understand. Colonel Maria Santos led a squadron of fast attack ships against the Council's fighter craft. The human ships moved faster than anything the Council had ever built. They darted between the enemy fighters like angry wasps, destroying everything they touched. Enemy fighter strength down 60%, Maria reported. They cannot keep up with our speed. Dr. Brooks monitored the battle from the command center. John, our psychological analysis was correct. The Council commanders are entering decision paralysis. They have never faced tactics like this. John watched the battle display as red dots disappeared one by one. The mighty Council fleet was being torn apart, but he knew the fight was not over yet. Sir, the enemy flagship is trying to retreat, Lisa reported. John looked at the display. The Eternal Dominion was turning away from the battle, its hull cracked and bleeding atmosphere into space. Let them go, John said. We want survivors to carry the message back to the Council. Captain Taylor's voice came through the communication system. Sir, should we pursue the fleeing ships? Negative, John replied. We have made our point. Let them run. 8 hours after it began, the Battle of Alpha Centauri was over. The Council's mighty armada was scattered wreckage floating in space. Of the 2,000 ships that had attacked, fewer than 300 limped away. The human fleet had lost 17 ships and 3,000 personnel, but they had achieved something that no race in galactic history had ever done. They had defeated the Council in open battle. Sir, we are receiving surrender requests from 12 Council ships, the communications officer reported. Accept their surrenders, John ordered. Treat the prisoners well. We are not the Council. Lisa looked at the battle damage reports. Sir, what happens now? The Council will not accept this defeat. John knew she was right. The Council still controlled most of the galaxy. They would regroup, adapt their tactics, and try again. But something fundamental had changed in the galaxy. Signal all human colonies, John said. Broadcast this battle to every inhabited world we can reach. Let the galaxy know that the Council can be defeated. Dr. Brooks smiled as she monitored communications. From across Council space, John, We are already getting reports of uprisings on Council worlds. Other species are seeing what we did. They are starting to fight back. John looked out at the stars through the command center's windows. Somewhere out there, other races were watching and learning. The galaxy would never be the same. The age of Council dominance was ending. The age of freedom was beginning. And it had started with humans who refused to bow down to anyone. 6 months after the Battle of Alpha Centauri, the galaxy looked completely different. Admiral John Carter stood in the main meeting hall of New Geneva Station, watching delegates from dozens of alien races argue about trade agreements and defense treaties. Captain Lisa Monroe walked up to him with a report in her hands. "Sir, we now have formal alliance requests from 28 different species. The Altarian colonies want our protection from Council forces. The Vegan Trade Federation is offering exclusive mining rights on their worlds." John looked around the meeting hall. Aliens that had been slaves of the Council for thousands of years were now sitting as equals with humans, making decisions about their own futures. It was something he had never thought possible. Commander Rick Hayes entered the hall from a side door. He had just returned from a mission to help rebels on a Council world. His uniform was dirty and he looked tired, but he was smiling. "Sir, the liberation of Proxima 8 was a complete success," Rick reported. "The local rebels used our tactics perfectly. The Council garrison surrendered without a major fight." Dr. Helen Brooks looked up from her computer tablet. "John, this makes 47 worlds that have broken free from Council control. The rebellion is spreading faster than the Council can contain it." John nodded, but he knew the fight was far from over. The Council still controlled their core territories and hundreds of worlds. They had been reorganizing their forces and adapting their tactics. Reports from human spies showed they were building new ships designed specifically to fight human technology. Admiral Jake Sullivan's voice came through the communication system from his position at the outer defense platforms. "John, we have a priority message from the Council. Zareth wants to negotiate." This was not unexpected. For months, the Council had been sending peace offers through intermediaries. Each offer had been slightly better than the last as more worlds rebelled and their empire continued to shrink. "Put him on the main display," John ordered. The large screen in the meeting hall flickered and showed Counselor Zareth. The alien leader looked older than before. His 3 eyes seemed tired, and his purple skin had lost some of its color. Behind him, John could see that his ship's bridge had fewer officers than before. "Human Admiral Carter," Zareth said, his voice lacking the arrogance it had carried in their previous conversations. "The Council is prepared to offer you terms for peace." John stepped forward. "We are listening." "Full sovereignty over all current human territories," Zareth began. "Formal recognition of humanity as a galactic power, a permanent seat on the Council itself, and exclusive trading rights in 3 sectors of our space." Captain Steve Taylor, who had been promoted to admiral after his actions in the battle, spoke up from his position near the communications station. "What about the worlds that have already rebelled? Do they get to choose their own fate?" Zareth's eyes narrowed. "The Council cannot simply abandon our lawful territory. These worlds will return to their proper status under our protection." Colonel Maria Santos, now in charge of intelligence operations, stepped forward. "Protection? You mean slavery?" John raised his hand for silence. He had expected this. The Council was trying to save what they could of their empire while making. It looked like they were being generous to humanity. "Counselor Zareth, your offer is not acceptable," John said. "Humanity demands the complete end of the tributary system. All species must be free to choose their own governments, and there must be reparations for the races that suffered under Council rule." Zareth's face showed shock. "Your demands are impossible. You ask us to destroy an order that has brought peace to the galaxy for 10,000 years. "Peace?" John replied. "You mean oppression. True peace can only exist between equals." Dr. Brooks had been monitoring communications during the conversation. She looked up from her computer with an urgent expression. John, we are getting reports from across Council space. 17 more systems just declared independence. Word of this negotiation is spreading, and other races are taking it as a sign that the Council is weak. Zaraf seemed to see something on his own displays. His 3 eyes widened with what looked like fear. Admiral Carter, you do not understand what you are unleashing. Without the Council's guidance, these primitive species will destroy themselves. There will be chaos. John looked around the meeting hall at all the alien delegates. They were working together, making compromises, solving problems. They did not look primitive or chaotic to him. Counselor, these species managed to build starships and develop advanced technology, John said. I think they can handle governing themselves. The communication ended abruptly as Zaref cut the connection. John knew this meant the Council had chosen to continue fighting rather than accept the end of their empire. Captain Lisa Monroe checked her reports. Sir, our intelligence network is reporting massive Council fleet movements. They are pulling ships from every sector they still control. Admiral, Sullivan's voice came through the speakers again. John, it looks like they are planning one final assault. If they cannot negotiate, they will try to destroy us completely. John had expected this too. The Council was facing the collapse of everything they had built over thousands of years. They would not go quietly. All human fleets, prepare for defensive operations, John announced. Signal our allies to ready their forces as well. But John was not worried about the Council's final attack. In the past 6 months, humanity had not been sitting still. New ships had been built using improved technology. Human engineers had studied captured Council equipment and found ways to make their own weapons even more effective. More importantly, humanity was no longer fighting alone. 28 allied species had pledged ships and personnel to the fight for galactic freedom. The Council would not just be facing human forces this time. Admiral Taylor spoke up from his station. Sir, I recommend we take the fight to them. Hit their remaining strongholds before they can organize their final assault. Rick Hayes nodded in agreement. Our rebel contacts report that most Council worlds are ready to surrender if we just show up with a fleet. The Council's own people are tired of this war. John considered this. For months, human strategy had been defensive, protecting liberated worlds and helping rebels. But maybe it was time to end the war once and for all. Jake, how many ships can we field for a major offensive? John asked. 400 human ships, plus another 600 from our allies, Sullivan replied. More than enough to take any Council stronghold. Dr. Brooks looked up from her analysis. John, our psychological profiles suggest that one major defeat will cause the Council government to collapse completely. Most of their member species are only staying loyal out of fear. John made his decision. Signal all fleet commanders. We launch Operation Freedom in 72 hours. Target: the Council home system. The meeting hall became quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. Humanity was not just going to defend themselves anymore. They were going to attack the heart of the Council Empire and end this war permanently. Over. The next 3 days, the largest free fleet in galactic history assembled at the edge of Council space. Human ships flew alongside vessels from dozens of species that had thrown off the chains of tribute and slavery. John stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UHS Liberation, looking out at the massive fleet spread across space. Ships of every size and design moved in perfect coordination, united by their desire for freedom. All ships report ready, Lisa announced from her position at the communications station. John opened a channel to the entire fleet. This is Admiral Carter. Today we do not fight just for humanity. We fight for every species that has suffered under Council tyranny. We fight for the right of all beings to be free. The fleet jumped to hyperspace together, carrying the hopes of a galaxy toward the final battle. When they emerged in the Council home system, they found a broken empire waiting for them. Half the Council fleet had already surrendered or joined the rebellion. The remainder put up only token resistance before laying down their weapons. Counselor Zareth himself was found in his palace, old and defeated. When human soldiers came to arrest him, he simply asked, "How did you do it? How did one small species destroy an empire that lasted 10,000 years?" John answered him personally, "You forgot that freedom is stronger than fear. You forgot that people who fight for their own survival will always be more dangerous than people who fight for someone else's power." 5 years later, John stood in the assembly hall of the new Galactic Confederation on the neutral world of Haven. Representatives from over 200 species filled the chamber, debating policies as equals. The old council still existed, but only as a small regional government controlling a few dozen worlds. They had become just another voice in the galactic community, stripped of their power to demand tribute from anyone. Admiral Taylor approached with the latest reports from exploration fleets. "Sir, we have made contact with 7 new intelligent species in the Outer Rim. All of them want to join the Confederation." John smiled as he remembered the fear and desperation of those first days when the Council's demand had arrived. Humanity's answer had indeed shattered the galaxy, but from the pieces they had built something better. The age of tribute was over. The age of freedom had begun, and it had started with humans who refused to kneel. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the new frontier, watching stars drift past the main screen. 3 months ago, humanity had figured out how to travel faster than light. Now, Jake and his crew were out here mapping new space near Alpha Centauri, looking for planets that might be useful someday. "All quiet out here, Captain," said Lisa Warren from her spot at the navigation controls. She had been tracking their course for the past 6 hours without seeing anything interesting. Danny Brooks looked up from his engineering station. "The new drive is running smooth. No problems at all." He seemed proud of the human technology that had brought them this far from Earth. Katie Bell sat at the communications desk, monitoring radio signals from home. "Getting some chatter from Earth Defense Command. Sounds like normal traffic." Jake nodded and walked over to the big window that showed space around them. It was peaceful out here. No other ships, no planets close by, just empty space and distant stars. He liked these quiet missions. They gave him time to think about how far humans had come in such a short time. Back on Earth, Admiral Helen Carter was having a normal day. At Earth Defense Command, she was reviewing reports about the new ships being built and planning the next wave of exploration missions. The coffee in her cup had gone cold an hour ago, but she had not noticed. The alarm went off. Carter looked up as red lights started flashing all over the command center. Officers ran to their stations. Computer screens showed data flowing faster than anyone could read it. "What do we have?" Carter asked. Lieutenant Paul Grant checked his sensors. "Multiple contacts, Admiral. Big ones. They just appeared out of nowhere around our solar system." Carter walked over to the main display screen. What she saw made her stop and stare. Huge ships hung in space around Earth. They were bigger than anything humans had ever built. The ships were dark gray with strange designs that looked nothing like human technology. "How many?" she asked. 57 ships confirmed, Grant said. "Maybe more. They are not showing up clearly on our scans." "Are they hostile?" "Unknown. They have not fired any weapons." "But Admiral, those ships are massive. Each one is at least 5 times bigger than our largest battlecruiser." Carter sat down in her command chair. She had trained for this day, but she had hoped it would not come so soon. Humanity had only just reached the stars. They were not ready for visitors, especially visitors with such big ships. "Send a message on all frequencies," she said. "Standard first contact protocol. Tell them we are peaceful and want to talk." Before Grant could send the message, the main screen changed. The image of space was replaced by the face of something that was definitely not human. The creature had gray skin with dark spots. Its head was longer than a human head, and it had 4 eyes instead of 2. When it opened its mouth, Carter could see rows of sharp teeth. "People of Earth," the creature said in perfect English, "I am High Commander Vexitar of the Zephyrian Galactic Empire. Your world is now under our control." Carter felt her heart beat faster, but she kept her face calm. Around the command center, everyone had stopped what they were doing to watch the screen. "We have conquered over 200 worlds," Vextar continued. "We have destroyed countless fleets. We have made entire species bow before us. Your tiny planet will surrender to our empire, or we will turn it into dust." The alien commander leaned forward, and his 4 eyes seemed to stare directly at Carter. "You have 72 hours to give up completely. No conditions, no negotiations. Submit to the Zephyrian Empire, or watch your world burn." The screen went black. Carter looked around the command center. Every person was staring at her, waiting for orders. She thought about the 57 massive ships surrounding Earth. She thought about the aliens' threat to turn their planet into dust. She thought about humanity's few small ships and basic weapons. Then she started laughing. It began as a small chuckle, but it grew louder. Soon Carter was laughing so hard that tears came to her eyes. The sound echoed through the command center. "Admiral?" Grant asked, looking worried. "Are you okay?" Carter wiped her eyes and tried to stop laughing. "Did you see that guy? He looked like someone put a fish head on a lizard body and gave it anger management problems." Other officers started to smile. Someone in the back of the room let out a snort of laughter. "Admiral," Grant said, "what are your orders?" Carter stood up and straightened her uniform. "Send a message to all Earth news networks. Tell them we just got the most ridiculous ultimatum in human history. Then patch me through to President Davis. She is going to love this." Within 1 hour, the alien ultimatum was playing on every news channel on Earth. Within 2 hours, it was on every social media platform. Within 3 hours, people were making jokes about it. The first meme appeared on the internet showing Vextar's face with the words, "I will destroy your planet," at the top, and "Mom said it's my turn with the Xbox" at the bottom. A teenager named Bobby Kim in Los Angeles posted a video of himself doing a dramatic reading of the alien ultimatum while eating pizza. It got 10 million views in the first hour. Someone created a fake news report claiming that the aliens were upset because humans had been too loud and were disturbing their sleep. Dr. Richard Hayes, who studied alien life at Harvard University, appeared on the evening news. "Well," he said with a straight face, "I think it's safe to say that these aliens have never met humans before. If they had, they would know that we do not respond well to threats. We especially do not respond well to threats that sound like they came from a bad science fiction movie." Back on the new frontier, Katie Bell picked up the signals from Earth. "Captain," she called out, "you need to hear this." Jake and the rest of the crew gathered around Katie's station as she played the alien ultimatum. When it finished, the bridge was quiet for a moment. Then Danny Brooks started laughing. "Is this guy serious? He sounds like my little brother when he gets mad at video games." Lisa Warren shook her head. "These aliens picked the wrong species to threaten. Humans do not scare easy." Jake smiled as he watched more signals come in from Earth. News reports, comedy shows, and internet posts were all talking about the alien invasion. But nobody seemed scared. Everyone seemed to think it was funny. "Katie," he said, "set course for Earth, full speed. I want to see this for myself." As the new frontier turned toward home, Jake looked out at the stars and wondered what the aliens would do when they realized that their big scary threat had just become the biggest joke in human history. High Commander Vextar stood in the command center of his flagship, staring at the screens showing Earth. 12 hours had passed since he had delivered his ultimatum. He had expected panic, fear, and quick surrender. Instead, his communication. Officers were showing him something he had never seen before. "Commander, said Subcommander Claxton, approaching with a data pad. "We are receiving thousands of transmissions from the human world. They do not appear to be surrender offers." Vextar took the pad and looked at the translated messages. His 4 eyes narrowed as he read. "What is this? LOL alien man mad? Someone call this guy's manager? Worst invasion ever, 2 stars out. A 5. We believe these are what humans call memes, sir. Some form of communication we do not understand." Vextar threw the pad down. "This is impossible. Every species we have conquered has begged for mercy within 6 hours. These humans are making jokes?" On the bridge screens, Vextar could see feeds from human internet networks. Everywhere he looked, he saw his own face being used in ways that made no sense. Humans had put his image on bodies of small animals. They had added strange music to his ultimatum. One video showed his speech with the sound of a squeaky toy played over his voice. "Sir," called Communications Officer Zalnex from across the bridge. "The humans are broadcasting something called Saturday Night Live. They appear to be mocking our invasion." Vextar watched as a human dressed in a crude copy of Zephyrian armor pretended to be him. The human actor made his voice sound ridiculous and kept forgetting his lines on purpose. A live audience of humans laughed every time the actor spoke. "This is unacceptable," Vextar growled. "Claxton, bring up our conquest records. Show these humans what happens to worlds that refuse to surrender." Sub-Commander Claxton worked at his console. Soon the screens filled with images of destroyed cities, burned forests, and conquered species kneeling before Zephyrian forces. "Transmitting to Earth now, Commander." The footage showed the destruction of Kepler 442b, where the native Glorians had resisted for 3 days before surrendering. It showed the crystal cities of Proxima Centauri C reduced to dust. It showed the proud warriors of Wolf 359 laying down their weapons and begging for mercy. "Surely this will make them understand," Vextar said. On Earth, the new alien footage appeared on every news channel. Admiral Carter watched from Earth Defense Command as reporters tried to make sense of what they were seeing. "The aliens have sent us what appears to be a highlight reel of their previous conquests," said news anchor Tom Phillips. "The footage shows extensive destruction of alien worlds and the surrender of various species to this Zephyrian empire." Dr. Richard Hayes appeared on screen again, this time with a big smile. "Well, Tom, I think the aliens are trying to scare us with their home movies. It's like showing someone your vacation photos, except instead of the Grand Canyon, it's planets you've destroyed." Within minutes, human creativity went to work on the new footage. Video editors removed the serious music and added comedy sound effects. Someone put the alien destruction scenes to the tune of a children's song. Another video showed the conquered aliens with speech bubbles saying things like, "We should have hired better lawyers." A college student named Amy Rodriguez created a reaction video where she watched the alien footage while eating popcorn and rating each destruction scene like a movie critic. "The explosion effects are pretty good," she said, "but the storyline is predictable. Bad guys show up, destroy stuff, everyone surrenders. We've seen this movie 1,000 times." The most popular response came from a comedy writer named Sam Rodriguez. He created a sketch where he played a Zephyrian commander, getting increasingly frustrated as humans kept laughing at his threats. The video showed Sam in silver face paint and cardboard armor, screaming at his phone while humans on the other end just kept making jokes. "Why are you not afraid?" Sam yelled in the video. "We destroyed 50 planets." "Yeah," came a voice from the phone. "But did you see the reviews? 2 stars on Galactic Yelp. Terrible customer service. The video got 20 million views in 6 hours. President Angela Davis called an emergency press conference. She stood at the podium in the White House looking completely calm. "My fellow Americans," she began, "and I suppose fellow humans everywhere. Earlier today, our new alien friends sent us what I can only describe as their personal blooper reel of previous invasions." The press room erupted in laughter. "Now, I want to be clear," the president continued. We take any threat to Earth seriously. Our military is on high alert, and we are prepared to defend our planet. However, I also want to thank our visitors for providing what may be the most entertainment Earth has had all year." A reporter raised her hand. "Madam President, are you saying we should not be concerned about this invasion?" "I'm saying that any invasion force that thinks the best way to scare humans is to show us a PowerPoint presentation of their previous work has clearly never met humans before." The room laughed again. "We are a species that makes jokes while our ship is sinking," President Davis said. "We laugh at hurricanes, make memes about disasters, and turn every crisis into comedy material. If these aliens think they can intimidate us with scary movies, they pick the wrong planet." Back on the Zephyrian flagship, High Commander Vextar watched the human president's speech with growing anger. Around him, his crew members looked confused and worried. "They are laughing at us," Vextar said quietly. "They are actually laughing at the Zephyrian Empire." "Commander," said Claxton, "perhaps we need to try a different approach. These humans do not seem to respond to traditional intimidation tactics." "No," Vextar snapped. "Every species breaks eventually. These humans just need more pressure." He turned to his communications officer. "Send a message to the fleet. Tell all ships to move into attack positions around their major cities. Charge all weapons. If they want to laugh, let them laugh at the sight of their cities about to be destroyed." On Earth, the alien ships began moving closer to major population centers. News reports showed the massive vessels positioning themselves over New York, London, Tokyo, and other cities. But instead of panic, something else happened. In New York, people gathered in the streets and started taking selfies with the alien ship in the background. Someone set up a hot dog stand and put up a sign saying, "Alien Invasion Special, buy 2, get 1 free." In London, a group of teenagers started a dance party in Trafalgar Square, using the alien ship as a backdrop for their videos. In Tokyo, an artist began drawing cartoon versions of the alien ships with cute faces and posting them online. Dr. Hayes appeared on the news again, this time standing on a rooftop with an alien ship visible behind him. "As you can see," he said, pointing up, "the aliens have moved closer to Earth's cities. This appears to be an escalation of their intimidation strategy. Unfortunately for them, humans have a long history of making the best of bad situations. During World War II, Londoners had tea parties in bomb shelters. During the 1918 flu pandemic, people wore funny masks. And now, during our first alien invasion, we're having the biggest comedy festival in human history." The camera pulled back to show hundreds of people on nearby rooftops, all taking pictures and videos of the alien ship while laughing and having fun. On the Zephyrian flagship, Communications Officer Zal Nex approached High Commander Vextar with another data pad. "Sir," Zal Nex said nervously, "the humans have started something called Galactic Invasion Bingo. They are making a game out of our invasion." Vextar looked at the pad. Humans had created cards with squares like "Alien Makes," "Threat," "Scary Footage Shown," "Ships Move to Attack Position," and "Commander Gets Angry." People were marking off squares and trying to get 5 in a row. The center square on every card said, "Humans laugh at aliens." That square was already marked on every card Vextar could see. "This is impossible," he whispered. "How can they not be afraid?" Subcommander Claxton looked at the data coming in from Earth. "Commander, our psychological warfare division has never encountered anything like this. These humans appear to use humor as a defense mechanism. The more we threaten them, the funnier they think we are." Vextar stared at the screens showing Earth. For the first time in his military career, he was not sure what to do next. Every tactic that had worked on 200 other worlds was failing completely. "Sir," said Claxton quietly, "perhaps we should consider that these humans are not like other species we have conquered." "No," Vextar said firmly. "There has to be something that scares them. Keep monitoring their communications. Find their weakness. Every species has something they fear. But as more reports came in from Earth, showing humans continuing to laugh, joke, and make fun of the Zephyrian invasion, Vextar began to wonder if he had finally met a species that feared nothing at all. 24 hours had passed since the alien ultimatum, and High Commander Vextar was losing his mind. He paced back and forth on the bridge of his flagship while his officers watched nervously. The humans had not surrendered. They had not even stopped laughing. "Bring me Analyst Quendal," Vextar ordered. "If our weapons cannot break these humans, perhaps our xenopsychologist can explain why they are not acting like normal species." Sub-Commander Claxton activated the communication system. Soon, a Zephyrian with a smaller head and brighter skin appeared on the screen. Analyst Quendal was the Empire's expert on alien minds. "High Commander," Quendal said, "I have been studying the human transmissions. This species is unlike anything in our database." "Tell me something I do not already know," Vextar snapped. "Sir, humans appear to use laughter as a way to deal with danger. When most species see our ships, they recognize the threat and surrender. When humans see our ships, they make jokes about them." Vextar pulled up his conquest manual on the main screen. The thick digital book contained strategies that had worked on every world the Empire had conquered. "This manual has never failed us. Fear leads to surrender. Surrender leads to control. Control leads to victory." "Yes, sir," Quendal said carefully, "but humans do not seem to experience fear the way other species do. They transform fear into humor. They take serious threats and make them into entertainment." "That is impossible," Vexitar said. "Show me." Quendal transmitted data from Earth to the flagship's screens. "Observe their reaction to our latest positioning around their cities." The screens filled with human broadcasts. In every major city on Earth, humans were treating the alien ships like tourist attractions. Street vendors sold alien invasion survival kits that contained snacks, camera batteries, and joke books. Musicians performed concerts in front of the ships. Artists painted pictures of the vessels with rainbow colors and happy faces. In New York City, a comedian named Jerry Walsh set up a microphone in Central Park, directly under the alien ship. "So these aliens show up," Jerry said to a crowd of laughing humans, "and they're like, 'We will destroy your planet.' And I'm thinking, buddy, have you seen our planet lately? The rent prices alone are destroying us faster than you ever could." The crowd roared with laughter. "They said they conquered 200 worlds," Jerry continued. 200! You know what that tells me? These guys have commitment issues. They can't stick with one planet. They're like the galaxy's worst landlords. On the Zephyrian flagship, Vextar watched the human comedian with growing confusion. "Are they mocking our empire?" "Yes, sir," Quendal confirmed. "But it gets worse." The analyst switched to another human broadcast. This one showed a late-night television program called The Tonight Show. The human host, Caroline Mitchell, sat behind a desk with a big smile. "Ladies and gentlemen," Caroline said, "we have some special guests visiting Earth this week. They're from the Zephyrian Galactic Empire, and they came all this way just to threaten us. How sweet is that?" The studio audience laughed and clapped. "Now, I don't want to be rude to our visitors," Caroline continued, "but has anyone else noticed that their leader looks like what would happen if a fish had a really bad day at the dentist?" The audience laughed even harder. Caroline held up a picture of High Commander Vextar that someone had edited to give him braces and a confused expression. "I mean, this guy conquered 200 worlds," she said. 200. That's not conquest. That's hoarding. Someone needs to call the Galactic Intervention Show. Vextar's 4 eyes bulged as he watched the human mock him on their entertainment programs. "They put my face on their comedy shows?" "It gets worse, sir," Claxton said quietly. He switched the screen to show human social media. "They have created something called Vextar memes. Your image is being used in over 50 million different jokes." The screen showed hundreds of pictures of Vextar's face with different text added. When you threaten to destroy Earth, but they just make fun of you. Conquered 200 worlds, still can't get humans to take him seriously. That moment when your invasion becomes a meme. Sir, said Communications Officer Zalnex, we are also detecting organized human activities across their planet. They appear to be planning something called Mock the Invasion Day. What is that? Vextar asked. Humans around their world are planning to dress up like us and pretend to be Zephyrian commanders giving silly ultimatums. They are calling it the largest comedy event in human history. Vextar felt something he had never experienced before. For the first time in his military career, he was starting to doubt himself. How can they not understand that we are serious? We have the power to destroy their entire planet. Sir, Analyst Quendell said from the communication screen, I believe that is exactly the problem. Humans do understand how powerful we are, but instead of being afraid, they find the situation absurd. Absurd? Yes, sir. From their perspective, we are a vastly advanced civilization that travels between stars, commands massive fleets, and has conquered hundreds of worlds. And we are using all of that power to threaten a single small planet that just learned to travel faster than light 3 months ago. Quendall paused, then continued. To humans, this looks like an adult threatening to beat up a child, or a professional athlete challenging a toddler to a race. They find it so unfair that it becomes funny. Vextar stared at the analyst. You are saying they think we are bullies? More than that, sir. They think we are incompetent bullies. Humans have a saying, if you have to tell people how scary you are probably not that scary. On Earth, President Angela Davis was preparing for another press conference. She sat in the Oval Office with Admiral Carter and Dr. Hayes, discussing the situation. The aliens have been quiet for the past few hours, Admiral Carter reported. Their ships are still in position, but they have not made any new threats. Maybe they're getting the message, President Davis said. Or maybe they're planning something worse. Dr. Hayes looked up from his tablet, where he had been reading the latest reports about alien behavior. Madam President, I think they're confused. Everything we know about their past conquests suggests they rely on fear and intimidation. When that doesn't work, they don't seem to have a backup plan. So what do we do? The President asked. We keep doing what we're doing, Dr. Hayes said. We stay calm, we stay united, and we keep showing them that humans do not break easily. Admiral Carter nodded. Our military is ready if they attack, but honestly, I think our comedians are doing more damage to their morale than our weapons ever could. President Davis smiled. Who would have thought that our secret weapon against alien invasion would be our sense of humor? Back on the alien flagship, High Commander Vextar called an emergency meeting with his senior staff. The conference room, filled with Zephyrian officers, all looking as confused as their commander. Report, Vextar ordered. Sir, said Fleet Captain Mordex, the humans have started something new. They are creating fictional stories about our invasion. Stories? Yes, sir. They write tales about Zephyrian commanders who come to Earth but end up becoming friends with humans instead of conquering them. In these stories, we learn to laugh and give up conquest to become comedians. Vexatar felt his head begin to hurt. They are writing stories about us becoming comedians? The most popular story, Mordex continued, is about a Zephyrian commander who tries to invade Earth but keeps failing because he cannot stop laughing at human jokes. In the end, he retires from the military and opens a comedy club on the human moon. Around the conference table, Zephyrian officers shifted uncomfortably. Some of them had secretly been reading the human stories and found them interesting. Sir, said Subcommander Claxton carefully, some of our junior officers have been asking questions about human culture. They want to understand how a species can be so unafraid. And what did you tell them? Vextar asked. I told them to focus on their duties. But, sir, the questions are getting more frequent. The crew is starting to wonder if maybe the humans have a point. Vextar slammed his hand on the conference table. The humans do not have a point. We are the Zephyrian Empire. We have conquered worlds when their species was still learning to make fire. Yes, sir, Claxton said quietly. But maybe that is why they are not afraid of us. What do you mean? Sir, we have been conquering worlds for thousands of years. We are very good at it. But the humans are new to space travel. They do not know that they should be afraid of us. And because they are not afraid, they can see things that other species cannot. Such as? Claxton hesitated, then spoke carefully. Such as the fact that conquering planets full of people who do not want to be conquered is perhaps not the best way to spend our time. The conference room went silent. Every officer stared at Claxton, then at Vextar. For the first time in his life, High Commander Vextar had no idea what to say.